Greetings, my name is Ian Vargo and I'm with the Pro Audiophiles. In today's plugin profile, I'll be introducing you to the UAD Neve 1073 preamp and equalizer and AKG BX20 Spring Reverb. With these plugins, I'll be showing you how to give your tracks a vintage feel. Make sure to check out the Pro Audiophiles for additional audio content, and if you'd like to skip ahead to hear these in action, feel free to do so. Firstly, let's take a look at the Neve 1073. We've got control over mic or line level input, a high shelf, which is at 12K, a mid-bell filter. We've got the ability to boost or attenuate at about 360 all the way up to 7200. A low shelf, we have control over the frequency right here, and then a high-pass filter. Additionally, we have the ability to turn the EQ on and invert phase if we'd like. Over here, we've got control over low or high impedance, which is very effective when using this in unison with the Universal Audio Apollo preamps, a 20 dB pad, input fader, and output, and of course the ability to turn the whole thing off or on. So let's take a listen to this electric guitar with the plug-in bypassed and with the guitar in context. Bring in the Neve. Solo it. Definitely helps the guitar sit in its own space and cut through effectively. So I'm gonna fool around with these knobs and show you how I arrived at these settings, all right? So it might get loud. Let's take a listen. Ultimately, this is what I settled on. We've got this shelf. I did a little bit of cut just to get rid of some high end. I am boosting a whole heck of a lot at 1.6K right here. Let's take a listen to this filter. .6 always does a pretty decent job on guitars, helping them cut through. We've got, again, a pretty drastic boost here at 110 for the low shelf. And we've got a high-pass filter. Let's hear it without the EQ. Next, we've got control over the low or high impedance, which is not going to make too much of a difference here. A pad, which is going to make a big difference. Great for level matching. And then you can see right here that I did pretty drastic cutting at the output to make up for the fact that I'm doing a lot of boosting with the EQ. I found that you can make really drastic changes without the EQ breaking up, and even when it does break up, it's a pretty desirable sound. Let's show you how it performs on backup vocals. We've got this giant stack of backup vocals here, so let's make sure they are selected. Let's take a listen in context without the Neve. Let's bring it in. Let's solo these. Check it out. You really hear the airiness, the throatiness of the backup vocals, and in context, it just really helps them cut through, which is already a really dense arrangement. Let's listen one more time with the Neve bypassed. Let's bring it in. Next up is the AKG BX20. I am using it on guitar. Let's give you an introduction to the controls. We've got options for mono or stereo. This direct button right here, the unit has its own sound to it. By enabling the direct right here, it sort of imparts its own character, adds some warmth and mid-range information to it. We'll take a listen a little bit later. We've got controls over separate tanks. They have their own tone. EQ options, bass, low cut, and treble. These are extremely helpful. We've got a wet solo, so we hear nothing but the effect. Or if we don't want to solo the effect, we've got a dry wet. In this case, I did want wet solo. We've got pre-delay, and then we've got linkable or unlinkable decay time for left and right, volume for left and right, and then pan. So what we've got going on here is I panned the reverb all the way to the right. We've got this guitar that originates in the left channel, and then the reverb is applied, and we sort of have this ghostly wash of a reverb that helps the guitar sit within the mix, but also just sounds nice and more interesting. Let's take a listen without the AKG. Let's bring it in. Let's experiment with the controls. Definitely sounds a little bit more full with this direct option engaged, if that's what you want. Lastly, let's take a listen to the AKG on backup vocals. I've got them soloed. Let's bypass the effect. Let's hear it with the reverb. Let's hear it in context without the AKG. And with the AKG. I was definitely going for that Phil Spector wall of sound approach, where things are a little bit less defined than they would be in a modern recording, and I find that in addition to the sense of space that the AKG helps you establish, it really, because of the EQ and the different tanks and direct options, you have some real tonal options that you can work with. So it does a great job. It's not your typical reverb. Overall, I found these plugins to be a lot of fun, and they help add a lot of character to my mixes. I use them on guitar and vocals, but the applications are really limitless, whatever your imagination can think of. If you have any questions, my name is Ian Vargo. I am with the Pro Audiophiles, and make sure to check out the website for additional audio content. Thanks.